One wild night in Las Vegas proved that Dennis Rodman completely shattered every single social rule of dating. While other superstar athletes begged for female attention, he possessed a hypnotic charm that had the world's most famous icons losing their minds. How did a former janitor become a legendary sex symbol? This is Dennis Rodman's secret to driving women crazy. The unapologetic rebel who refused to simp. Growing up with a father who abandoned him left a massive emotional void in Dennis' early life that defined his raw edge. His mother Shirley eventually became so exasperated with his lack of direction that she packed his bags with only a garbage bag of clothes and kicked him out. Dennis was left with absolutely nowhere to go, sitting on the apartment steps feeling completely discarded by the world. He worked as a night janitor at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport and faced severe homelessness, sleeping on the streets for years before his basketball career finally took off. During this time, he met a young boy named Bryant Rich at a basketball camp. Bryant was deeply traumatized after accidentally shooting and killing his best friend. Dennis spent hours helping the young boy talk through his immense grief, forming an unbreakable bond. The Rich family practically adopted Dennis, offering him a backyard couch and emotional support. Since he did not lose his virginity until he was 20, Dennis never developed the typical spoiled athlete attitude. He openly admitted that girls completely ignored him during his impoverished youth when he was not considered good-looking and had no money. When global superstardom finally hit, his hormones ran wild, driving him to make up for lost time. Beautiful women are incredibly used to men kissing their feet, so they instantly froze up when Dennis treated them like regular human beings. Operating with a radical abundance mindset, he never begged for female approval, which drove high-status women completely wild. He was so independent that he openly joked about naming his hands Monique and Judy to show he never ran out of options when a partner was away. When the pop star Madonna set her sights on him in 1994, she aggressively chased him, sitting front row at his games. Dennis blew her off because he thought her music was terrible, completely shifting the power dynamic in his favor. Do you think you would have the courage to hang up on the Queen of Pop while sitting at a Las Vegas gambling table? Dennis did exactly that when she called to announce she was ovulating. He walked away from his casino chips, took a 5-hour flight to New York, did his thing, and flew straight back. Her immense wealth meant his money was nothing but pocket change, removing any transactional pressure. Underneath the crazy media facade, he was a caring protector who let her escape her public shadow and feel normal, creating a rare sanctuary before he ended the fling. Dennis' close friend Jack Haley witnessed their intense romance, personally hearing Madonna beg Dennis to marry her and have a baby. But Dennis was cautious because he knew the sheer scale of her fame threatened to swallow his hard-earned identity. He realized that being with such a massive star was more than he could handle, so he chose his own freedom over being her boy toy. But refusing to worship famous women was only half of the equation that made Dennis a total enigma to the ladies. The magnetic paradox of gender-bending masculinity. Most professional athletes in the 90s clung tightly to a rigid, hyper-masculine blueprint, but Dennis stepped into the arena wearing makeup, painted fingernails, and colorful outfits. He collected championship trophies with sparkly talons and dyed his hair in wild neon cheetah print patterns. Madonna actually encouraged him to keep pushing these boundaries during their short time together. He was so secure in his own skin that he did not care about normal styling standards, which made him look incredibly brave. On the court, he remained a terrifyingly physical defender who would dive headfirst for loose balls. He even used his eccentric style as a form of psychological warfare. During games, he would playfully pat opposing players like Alonzo Mourning on the rear to completely throw them off. Trapped in fragile masculine locker room rules, his opponents thoroughly freaked out and lost all their focus. This extreme comfort in his own sexuality made Dennis a celebrated icon in spaces where other athletes feared to tread. He frequented gay bars and drag clubs because they accepted him as a fellow outcast who did not fit into normal society. In 1995, he took his nonconformity to a global level by posing in sexy lingerie on the cover of a major sports magazine. Elite women looked at his complete lack of a fragile male ego and found it highly attractive. He was so secure that he openly joked about faking it in bed, explaining that since women did it, he was simply flipping the coin. Decades before alternative style became mainstream, Dennis was riding pink Harleys, listening to rock and roll, and partying with rock stars like Tommy Lee. He adopted a white-adjacent lifestyle, partying in venues where you would rarely catch other black athletes. which made him accessible and thrilling to mainstream cultural icons. This raw, emotional security is exactly what drove actress Carmen Electra completely wild when she met him at a Los Angeles nightclub. She was instantly captivated by his unpredictable energy and his surprisingly sweet romantic side that the public never saw. Dennis was a deeply emotional man who would cry easily and show extreme vulnerability behind his tough, defensive exterior. He surprised her with childlike dates, like blindfolding her and taking her on his motorcycle to the Bulls practice facility. They stood at center court, ate popsicles from the fridge, and made love in the physical therapy rooms. Dennis even tried to strip away his habit of sleeping with a new girl every night because Carmen was truly special to him. He took her to his modest ranch house in Northbrook, and they lay in bed for days just talking without even making love. Yet this beautiful fantasy of endless romance turned into a terrifying race against a lifestyle that never slept. The dark price of an untamable storm. Carmen Electra quickly realized the wild partying never stopped, moving constantly from high-end dinners to nightclubs and after-hours venues. This chaos peaked during the 1998 finals when Dennis escaped to Las Vegas on a 48-hour bender. Michael Jordan had to personally fly to Vegas, knock on his door, and drag him back to practice while Carmen hid behind the couch under the covers. Eventually, the unstable environment took a heavy toll on her health. She looked in the mirror, saw a puffy face with dark bags under her eyes, and walked away purely for self-preservation. Even though they eloped in Las Vegas, Dennis filed for annulment only 9 days later, proving that their intense passion was too volatile to survive. Even powerful executives in the sports world could not resist the gravitational orbit of this chaotic superstar. When Dennis joined the Los Angeles Lakers in 1999, his presence sparked a highly debated relationship with Jeanie Buss, the daughter of the team owner. Jeanie was a confident, sexually liberated executive who had previously posed naked for Playboy in 1995, straddling her father's desk in lingerie surrounded by championship trophies. Dennis claimed they dated for 6 months, asserting that teammates Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal were highly envious of the attention he received. Jeanie, however, denied these romantic claims, explaining she was actually tasked by her father to monitor his wild lifestyle. Because Dennis was notorious for disappearing on benders, she had to accompany him to restaurants, clubs, and beaches so the team knew where he was at all times. But this endless parade of chaotic relationships eventually collected a devastating debt that ruined his personal life. His first wife, Annie Bakes, met him when she was a wealthy top model earning her living in Paris, Milan, Tokyo, and New York. They had a daughter named Alexis, but after a tragic car accident ended her modeling career, things spiraled into a living hell. Vicious private fights erupted, and Annie wrote a painful tell-all book titled Worse Than He Says He Is, detailing his manipulative, dishonest, and abusive behavior. This betrayal reached a peak in 1993 when rumors swirled that teammates like Vinnie Johnson were sleeping with her. Devastated by the divorce and the departure of his father figure coach Chuck Daly, Dennis drove to the Palace of Auburn Hills parking lot with a loaded shotgun. He sat in his car, listening to Pearl Jam songs like Even Flow and Black, planning to end his life before falling asleep. By 2012, his third marriage to Michelle Moyer officially collapsed, leaving Dennis facing severe financial ruin and threats of jail time over $800,000 in unpaid support. His superstar daughter, Trinity Rodman, recently stated on a podcast that the NBA legend was completely absent during her childhood and was not a dad to her. Today, the drama continues to burn as his current girlfriend, the rapper Yella Yella, publicly clashes with Trinity on social media, promising that the truth will be told. Yella Yella and Dennis began dating in 2022 after meeting at a music event, and they have recently launched a joint podcast and streaming show to share stories of resilience. Dennis recently got her face tattooed on his right cheek and his left butt cheek, calling her his last dance with a woman. Yet this intense family feud promises more public fireworks. Dennis bypassed the traditional rules, using flamboyant masculinity and raw vulnerability to conquer the hearts of the world's most famous women. Yet, that irresistible fire ultimately burned down his personal life, leaving behind financial ruin and estranged children. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know if his charm was psychological genius, and do not forget to subscribe for more wild sports drama.